Good morning. So today I have coming up in my calendar for tomorrow a note to discuss with my colleague, my dear colleague Hanaa, about the Vision Pro and the fact that it was launched around about a year ago, maybe a bit longer, and how it was going to set the world on fire. And I was very much the opposite. We actually did a podcast on this that you can check out down below. And what we essentially discussed was, is this going to be the future for Apple? Is this the next big frontier? And Hannah was very much convinced it was going to be, and I was very much convinced it was not going to be. And 1 year later, here we are, and Apple has discontinued the Vision Pro, and so I stand victorious. Yes, no big deal predicting that, but I want to try and share why I was able to correctly anticipate that this was not going to work out for Apple, because there was a colossal amount of effort mobilized in the marketing of the Vision Pro. You might in fact say that never before has so much bullshit been mobilized in the pursuit of selling something to people that they needed so little. And that's, I think, part of what has essentially become evidence for me of stagnation inside an organization, is when they have lost the true creative spirit and have instead essentially become a marketing engine, where they believe that they, as the incumbent, can dictate to people, the consumer, what they want, that they are Apple, and that they are the geniuses who will figure out the frontier of technology. And of course, that has been proven in the past. But the one thing that none of us need in the world today is another screen. And if you are an Apple consumer, you likely have at least an iPhone, maybe an iPad, probably also a MacBook of some kind. And those are already three very expensive screens. And strapping a pair of goggles to your face and sitting there for hours, lost in a technological marvel, as you then process your Excel spreadsheet or do your creative graphics or whatever it is, it's just not something that anyone on this planet is really excited about at a fundamental level. You're not excited about it in the sense that you're going to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to have another Apple screen in your life. And it's just inconvenient. No one's going to be sitting there with these goggles strapped to their face, no matter how much we want to present it in the marketing videos as being something that's cool and desirable. And all these sort of niche use cases of these very impressive artists who are able to use the goggles to create these wonderful pieces of virtual art, or architects or doctors who are using these virtual reality headsets, they of course have their uses, right? That's useful. There are niche use cases for it, and potentially they're quite large use cases, but it's not something that hundreds of millions or billions of consumers are going to rush into. And what I saw in this, because I actually stayed up to watch the Apple keynote that introduced the Vision Plus, it was just this sort of, it was so smug, it was so full of itself, it was so uninspiring in the end of the day. And it was someone trying to be cool rather than actual authentic innovation, inspirational spirit coming forth. Does it really build a better world? Is it really the great leap through? Not really. I mean, it's a technological marvel, don't get me wrong. What they have done from a technology point of view is remarkable, but it's not something that the world needs. And so I think what we see in this is a sort of an evidence of a stagnation taking place within Apple. It's a classic case of what happens after you've been successful. That's really when stagnation sets in. And I think there's a potential for the future of Apple over the next few years, perhaps a bit longer, to go the path of what happened to Microsoft, where Microsoft, having stunning success, especially sort of peaking with the Internet Explorer in the early 2000s of the internet, it then missed the shift to mobile. It, in the beginning at least, missed the shift to cloud, but has triumphantly come back, of course, with its investment in OpenAI, ChatGPT, and it's been able to reinvent itself, and at one point seizing the world's most valuable company from Apple. So I think this is kind of the thought I'd like to leave you with at the end of this cup of coffee that I've been sharing with you, which is, what do you do after you've been successful? What do you do once the frontier has been reached? How do you push forward into the next new world and to really have the daring leap to make that happen? And the final thought that I'll leave you with is this: it must be messy, it must look silly and foolish, it must be something that is edgy, and above all, it cannot and can never be planned out as a polished corporate marketing campaign that has everything finished out, because that's precisely, I think, the problem of what Apple tried to do. It was too smooth, it was too shiny, it was too polished, And in the end, nobody really cared. And all that was really happening was a giant noise inside of Apple justifying to itself that this was necessary because it's desperately trying to seek the next new frontier and of course trying to lead that. Ironically, it then actually did miss the arrival of the new frontier, which is artificial intelligence, and Apple is noteworthy in the fact that it is far behind the other technology companies in its deployment and usage of AI. So passionate that the headset fell out. Anyway, I'd like to wish you a wonderful day. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.